Hi and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be discussing why I think PvE in Sea of Thieves sucks, and especially the skeleton forts. I just want to start off by talking about the combat system. I think the combat system is terrible. I think it's really simplistic, has clunky controls. You basically just, it's a spam fest. You basically just click left mouse button to spam your sword and one to block. The weapons themselves, like the shooting, a lot of the time they don't register the hits. It's really clunky, hard to aim. Also I feel like the cannons, they really don't go where you aim them, they just go up and down. There's a lot better systems where you can aim better, and it just isn't really fun in my opinion. Also there really needs to be like more variety of weapons, and like the service and the hit detection, it just doesn't register a lot of the time. I mean, I remember I went behind a pirate and was slashing him for about 3 or 4 hits, didn't kill him, he turned round and slashed me a couple of times and I'm dead, and it's like, what is going on? I mean, this is 2018. I mean, a game like Morrowind has better combat. I mean, more advanced combat. I mean, it's more impactful in Oblivion when you're swinging your sword, and it takes far more skill in Oblivion than this game. I mean, it's really disappointing, the combat system in this game. I mean, also I think that the player base is terrible, a lot of them, and they're really full of like obnoxious people and trolls. And I think that being a pirate like brings out the worst in people, I think, and they just want to play this character and just grief people and just ruin their day. I had one person, I'll show a little clip in the video. This guy was griefing me. He was just followed me around the map for like an hour, and we were both in a sloop, and I couldn't turn in any of my quests, and he wasn't gaining on me, and it was just pointless. It was a complete waste of time. We were just following each other around the map. No one was really gaining on anyone because we were both just in the wind and knew how to control our ships, and it was just boring and pointless, and I just decided to quit the game in the end because it was just a waste of time. I mean, this person was just stopping me from handing in my quests and just griefing me for an hour. I think, especially if you're a single player, you should be able to have no PvE servers where you can just go do your quests. If you just want to do the simple PvE quests, you should have a server where you just want to go do that. I mean, GTA has that, where if you have to do those simple fetch quests in GTA Online, you can do those offline if you want. I mean, in like an offline mode maybe would be pretty good. Also I think like griefing at the skeleton forts as well. I mean, and it's the only real fun piece of PvE content in the game, like a raid, where basically you have to kill waves of skeletons, different types of skeletons at the fort, and then you have like a final boss. But normal players can like interrupt you whilst you're doing it, which is really annoying. I remember I made an alliance with a galleon on voice chat, on game chat, and right at the end they just turned on us and sank our ship. And yeah, you could say that's part of the game or whatever, but it took about an hour of us doing this PvE content, and then we had to listen to them swearing and insulting at us while they were doing it, and laughing in our faces when they killed us and sunk our ship, and we got nothing for it. Really need like a parlay system in the game with like flags where you can like group up and give invites to other crews on the fly, and if you accept that invite, then there are penalties for that, such as, you know, bounties that can get other people who then sink your ship get a bounty, things like that. It just really does, pirating really does bring out the worst in people. Also I don't really think like the PvE content of the skeleton fort really makes sense, because it sounds good, but with the spawning system in the game, it makes it really terrible. I mean, for instance, I successfully destroyed an enemy ship who went to attack us whilst we were doing the skeleton fort, and they just spawned at an island, the closest island, straight away, and there was just nothing stopping them from sailing back to the fort, within like 5 minutes and just destroy our ship. So it was just like, and then we'd go back and do that, and it was just this, and we'd go back and do the same. It was this constantly pitched battle that was lasting for hours, and it was just getting stupid. And it's supposed to be a PvE content, the only PvE content in the game, like a raid. It's like as if you were doing a Destiny raid, and you get to the final boss, and then they just kill you. Then another person just comes in and kills you and then laughs in your face. I mean, it's just silly. I mean, also the spawning system. Like, if you go on to an enemy ship and kill all the people on board, they just spawn back onto the ship in a minute. I mean, it doesn't make sense, and so you're constantly having this battle at this fort. You kill them over, and they kill you, and then they just spawn back on the ship, and it doesn't help with the really poor combat systems. You're running around, you're firing at them, your hits aren't even registering, someone's slashing at you and kills you, but you thought you slashed them. I mean, you don't really know how much a hit takes. So it feels like one time you slash them and you take off no health, they come around and slash you and then kill you, and you're like, what? You don't know what your health is or how much a shot takes. I think like the skeleton fort really needs to be like on a different part of the map, and like if your ship's destroyed, then you're not coming back, or you have a time penalty or something, because it's like it's the only decent piece of PvE content with the most amount of money, and all the other quests give like pathetic money. So everyone's going to the skeleton fort because they know that it's worth a lot of money if they get the treasure at the end. But it's just constantly getting attacked and getting interrupted by players, and you just would like a little bit of decent PvE, but it's just turns into this PvE griefing session. I mean, also it's like, if you're in a sloop, I was in a sloop and a galleon turns up, you have literally zero chance, because even if they either sink your ship or just turn on you at the end, because there's got 4 people. We really need like a we really need like a sloop only service, so then people might either it'll be more fair, and people it will definitely be more fair, and then if you want to have a fight, then it's 2v2 and it's fair, and the winner wins basically. I think better PvP would be world PvP, and then leave the PvE content in instant, like the raids to be in instant. Like for instance, like an NPC merchant ship that constantly travels across the map, which players can engage in, and then they either drop loot as you smash them, or you have to take down the ship and then you get all the loot, and then everyone has to pile in and grab the loot, and then there's constant battles with people firing at each other. But it would be so much better, like if your ship got destroyed or by another crew, or you killed someone else, they'd have a much harder time of catching up with the merchant ship, instead of just going to the skeleton fort, where you can just keep constantly going back to the fort. I mean, I think that I'm pretty worried about the state of the game and the community, because part of me wants to do some of the PvE content and see what PvE content there is going to be happening, but it's just going to be constant PvP action of people griefing each other, and the alliancing system's just terrible, and you can get backstabbed straight away, and some people like that, but it's just basically for 4 people in a ship griefing other people. It's no fun for small ships. It needs to definitely be improved and looked at, and if people want to just do the quests, then they should be allowed to do it, and if people want to engage in PvP, that's fine. I'm not stopping people, then they can do it, but it's like there's it's almost as if they've slapped on PvP because it's pirates right at the end, and not really thought of how they implemented it. And like, there's not enough PvE raids in the game anyway, and it's really boring and frustrating because of the griefing in the game. But that's my opinion. Some people would disagree with that, and that's fine, and you'd say it's part of the game. Well, fine as well. But I'm worried for the state of the game, and I think people are just, once they've done it once you grief someone once, or taken the skeleton fort once, I mean, what are you going to do? It's the only piece of content, and the PvP fighting and killing other pirates isn't very satisfying anyway, because the combat system's boring and clunky and unresponsive, and the servers are bad, and I just think people are going to get bored of the game. But that's just my opinion, and I'll catch you again in another video. Thank you.